So, Dr. Bill and Robert Hayman, would you please take a couple of minutes and introduce yourselves to the audience?
All right, I'll go first. So like you guys, I am a practicing dentist. Robert and I started up a company called Discus Dental right around 1990 that some of you may have heard of. We actually invented Zoom. Okay, the wrong Zoom. No, actually the right Zoom. Zoom tooth whitening. But, you know, I've been practicing dentistry for almost 40 years now. I'm in Century City, California. I've loved practicing dentistry. And for me, dentistry was kind of a springboard to a lot of other careers. Obviously, Discus Dental. Some of you may remember I was the featured dentist on ABC show Extreme Makeover. I'm on the CBS show The Doctors. I've done Oprah, Larry King, and a lot of other shows. But I think the thing that I'm really excited about and what I want to talk to you guys about today is kind of the future of dentistry. So that's what this is all about.
Okay, my name is Robert Hayman. I'm not a dentist, just make that clear. I'm not a Dr. Robert like there's a Dr. Bill. I also am so used to going after Bill all the time. I always come last. But in all seriousness, Bill and I did build a wonderful company called Discus Dental together. I was more the business end of it. And Bill was a great clinician. He was our figurehead. Could not have had a better partner doing that than Bill. Today we are both involved in this company, Parametrics, and we're both going to be working towards driving it to herald a new day in dentistry.
Terrific. Thank you so much. So another question for you. So with Discus Dental, you both launched Zoom, Bright Smile, and Nightwhite, some of the leading professional tooth whitening products. You've gone through the process of starting with nothing and building a very successful company with those products. What is it about Parametrics and the Interview product that makes you feel as confident about this company as you did with Discus? Dr. Bill, I'll start with you.
You know, whitening in its inception was something that both Robert and I looked at from outside thinking, man, the potential here is extraordinary. The problem is with whitening, the products that were out on the market were not good. You know, they had bad taste, they didn't work well, they weren't packaged well. So we really saw an opportunity to quote unquote build a better mousetrap. And we started with nothing. You know, we literally had, neither of us had much money. You know, we were scrappy. We put this company together. We had 2 employees, 4 employees, 6, and we grew and grew and grew. At the end of the day, before we sold Discus in 2010, we did $1.3 billion in sales. We started with nothing. We're now at a point with Parametrics where we have technology and a device that's never been introduced to the dental field before. And it's much like whitening in that we see this huge opportunity. And I think if we play our cards right, we can go round 2 and go even bigger than we did in round 1. The AI and all the things that we can incorporate into this company will make this really the future of what dentistry is going to need as a product.
Robert, you want to comment?
I think Bill touched on some really great points. I would say with Discus, with whitening, we were a whitening juggernaut. We were essentially, like Bill said, building a better mousetrap. It was limited, though, to really aesthetic dentists. And with Interview is not just limited to general aesthetics or to general practitioners who do aesthetics. Every dentist in every country, every specialty can use this. We also had something that, you know, at Discus that we don't have here, and that's competition. We're breaking new ground. This is a novel, new technology that is unlike whitening in that it's never been done before. And to be able to do some of what we're going to, you know, do here is unique and different, and it's a new paradigm. It's disruptive. So that's what makes it so exciting. As Bill highlighted, it's really, you know, yes, there's a device that's involved, but more importantly, It's about data, and it's about what we do with that data and how we collect that data. The data is collected by the device, and it creates a certain type of data, and then we leverage that through artificial intelligence into a rich diagnostic suite that's able to identify things that have never been identified before.
And I want to add another layer to that, because I think, I've been practicing almost 40 years. This is probably the first time ever in my career that I have seen something that is actually going to have the potential to create a new standard of care. And I honestly think that once we get this up and going, it will be the standard of care. I can't imagine practicing dentistry today without taking x-rays. And I feel like once we get the interview accepted and used in dental offices around the world, it will become the standard of care. And there won't be a dentist practicing who doesn't incorporate this technology in their office.
So Robert, I was going to ask you, so what exactly does INNERVIEW do?
INNERVIEW identifies damage in teeth. And by damage, we're referring to cracks and also failing restorations. And when you think about it, everyone, the number one diagnostic tool or device in dentistry today is really radiographs, the x-ray. Everyone goes in, they get their bite wings, and they get their full series. And it's a very, very common procedure in dentistry. But when you think about what x-rays do, radiographs, they primarily, and I say primarily, not only, but primarily, they're used for decay, detecting decay. When you think about decay, it is, very common. But when you think about cracks or failing restorations, it is much more common, and more people have more cracks in more teeth than they do x-rays, than they do decay, forgive me. And so we think this is going to become a very, very widely used diagnostic tool or system. It'll probably be the first go-to diagnostic that a dentist will reach for when presented with an issue in dentistry.
As we gain acceptance and, and our footprint expands in dentistry, what we're going to see is that this will become part of your routine dental exams, where you'll establish a baseline. Just like you do, your perio charting, your hygienist will have an opportunity to basically, quote unquote, interview each tooth, establish a baseline, so that, if a patient comes in 3 or 4 months after a prophy and says, hey, my tooth is hurting, but I can't tell where it is, we will be able to quantify exactly what's going on and say, well, it's really easy. Look at, you can see it's tooth number 3. So, I think this is very exciting. A lot of what we can't see radiographically we'll be able to see using this whole process.
Right. And, a quote came up from one of our researchers, Dr. Kelly, and he had made a quote or said something that we thought was an incredible statement, which is, that perhaps INNERVIEW is the best innovation since the x-ray. Do you agree with that, and why?
Absolutely. I mean, there's nothing more frustrating than having a patient come in and, telling me that they're having pain in a tooth and we can't find anything. And we'll do a CAT scan and an x-ray and tapping and cold and this and that and the other thing, and we just can't find anything, and by using the AI with, this device, the INNERVIEW, we'll be able to see and quantify exactly what's going on in each tooth and identify where there are problems. And moreover, we'll be able to find things early on that may prevent us from having to do a lot more treatment later on. So as a preventive device, I think it's going to be imperative to start using this.
The idea that Bill discusses, which is huge, the idea to track something, if you're able to identify damage, and again, you're talking about cracks and 4 major crack types and failing restorations, the ability to establish a baseline and track that as that damage is going to propagate over time, most likely, unless there's some form of intervention, is huge. But today, dentists can even easily identify a crack. So just the ability to say, yes, there's a crack there, no, there's not a crack, and tell them the severity level of that crack is, it's groundbreaking. That's a huge a problem that's being solved as we sit here today. And it's only going to get better as the technology evolves over time. And so it's going to be very interesting to see, not only where we are when we launch this in a few months, but also where we are in a few years after the technology continues to evolve, get improved, add more data to the algorithms, and ultimately see what that rich diagnostic suite becomes. One of the interesting things about Discus was also all the opportunities that we had that weren't apparent to us in the beginning. And we learned a tremendous amount about what we were doing and the ancillary services and products that we were able to come about and arrive at and offer because of our success in whitening. And that's why we became, for a period of time, #1 in impression materials, #1 in the oral hygiene space, #1 in a number of areas, curing lights, and I can go on and on. And it's because we were able to leverage the success that we had, what we learned, and what we brought to bear that really helped a lot of clinicians. That's what I'm hoping we're going to find here. And I'm curious as to what that's going to be. In fact, we already have a lot of ideas in terms of what we can come up with once we gain a foothold, a toehold even, in the industry, and we start to expand it.